So,
All right, everyone, we are live.
Good morning, everyone. Today is February 24th, 2025, 11 a.m. Thank you for all attending the East Hampton Village Board meeting. If we could stand for a pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everybody. So we have a couple of presentations today. Dr. Gobler, who was our first presentation, called this morning. Unfortunately, his dad is ill and he had to be with him, so he will not be attending today. So we'll reschedule that for another meeting. Next up is our auditors. If you could come on up. Nah. Just before you start, can we do roll call? I always forget this part. No worries. Go ahead, Lorraine.
Oh, okay. Mayor Jerry Larson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Chris Minardi.
Here.
Trustee Sandra Melendez.
Here.
Trustee Carrie Doyle.
Here.
Trustee Sarah Amadon has an excused absence. Administrator Marco Spaladrone.
Here.
Village Attorney Lisa Perillo is attending virtually.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. I am disappointed Hugh is not here. I have been coming here for many years, and I've always looked forward, but I heard you were going to take over today.
I was scheduled. Dominique was giving me something to read today because I don't know if she wanted to read it, but do you want to read anything today, Dominique? No? I don't.
Oh, come on up, Dominic. Give us a history lesson.
So if you see Hugh, though, please tell him I said hello.
I forgot to bring it.
It's funny, it's just traditional. Ever since I've been coming to report, he's always spoken. It's just...
Well, the important thing you have to remember, he always ends with what he's told you may or may not be true. So,
Right.
And no one could prove it otherwise. So thank you. Well, I'm here. We successfully completed your audit just recently. We performed our audit in accordance with generally accepted audit standards and governmental audit standards. I'm pleased to say that once again, you have received an unmodified opinion, which means that during the scope of our audit, we did not become aware of any material modifications that had to be made to the financial statements. In fact, we didn't propose any journal entries this year at all. So that's a testament to how the accounting is done here. Audit readiness, the staff was closed the books timely and accurately. That's why we had no adjustments. Cooperation was great. Yeah, when we come in and do an audit, we are a little disruptive because we require a lot of information, and that's, can be a little cumbersome, and then the staff still has to complete their normal duties. So it's been very, very nice to work with them, and it just makes life a lot easier for both sides. So I want to thank the staff for helping us on that. Should be very proud, though, no journal entries. So that's really nice. I'd just like to go over a few budgetary highlights. Total revenues came in at $31.2 million, which actually exceeded the original budget amounts by almost $3 million. The most notable increase of income came from licenses and permits, almost $2 million this year. And it seems to have been a history over the last couple of years where license permits has been coming in quite a bit higher. So that's very nice. From an expenditure standpoint, you had $30.5 million of expenditures, which was actually under budget by almost $1 million. Most areas contributed to that surplus or reduction. Big chunk of it was from the employee benefits section, had to do with LoSAP this year. So that's awesome. From a capital standpoint, you spent about $7.9 million in new capital and new fixed assets. Emergency equipment, things like that came in at $2.1 million. The Herrick's project was almost $2 million, and I think the Domini was almost $2 million. So those are the three items that really made up the large part of that, those capital expenditures in the current year, which is use of the funds, which is great. From a debt service standpoint, there was no new bond issues in the current year. We did pay off almost $460,000 of outstanding payments in the current year, leaving roughly $8.2 million, which will be paid off between now and, I believe, 2037. So it should have no major impact on cash flow at all for that. From a balance sheet standpoint, you ended the year with, on the fund financial statements, with $23 million of assets, of which 11 million was in cash was in cash, and the remaining items were just across the board. You only had $1 million in liabilities, which left a surplus or a fund balance of 22 million. Naturally, some of that is restricted for the employee benefits and the low SAP, but you ended the year with about $11 million of unassigned balances, which can be used for future use of the village. And I think annually you've been using part of that to help supplement the budgets going prospectively. There are certain items that are not reported on the fund financials. Those are more accruable items. You guys ended the year with some obligations, health insurance, which are not allowed to pre-fund, but you have to do an annual calculation. That ended the year with a potential liability of almost 24 million, which will be paid out over the life expectancy of all the employees. That's a calculation that's done annually by the actuaries. And that's really the basic highlights. There were no, also like to say that there was no significant deficiencies in internal controls at all. The controls seem to be working very well based on our audited testing. So that's a great job as always.
Great, thanks. And thanks to Dominique and her staff and Marcos. You guys really keep tight reins on the department heads, and thank the department heads for all their hard work keeping the budget down, except the police department. But you can't put a price on safety. All right, next up, Ed Carey. I met Ed recently at a NICOM convention up in Albany, and he's got a great product, and we brought him out here to see if the village is interested in participating. Welcome, Ed.
Thank you very much, Mayor, trustees, and the public. It's always good to follow after the audit is done, because I'm going to talk about a product that actually is, you have to think of it more of like a financial institution type product. I'm just going to give a little brief history of myself, my company, and then I'm going to jump right into it. Again, my name is Edward Carey. I've been coming out to the East End my entire life. My family is out in Shelter Island. I grew up in the city, but in the last 6 years, I've made that my home base, and I'm raising I'm not raising my wife, but my wife is there, and we're raising our son in Shelter Island. And I work for a company, with that, like my career is basically, went to Syracuse University, went and worked for my family. They had an energy company. My grandfather, my dad, they were all energy guys. So I sort of followed in that footstep and went with that as well as a career. And in that time period, I went and worked for my family. I said that, and then I worked for the city of New York in purchasing, doing energy. So I worked in the Giuliani administration for 2 years and the Bloomberg administration for 4 years. And then when I joined Amarada Hess, the big Hess gas stations, I was them for a while, and then I helped start a company called Good Energy. And I've been at this one company for 19 years, and we chase basically large real estate. So if it's Joan Lang LaSalle, Vornado, Rudin, like real estate, we have 5 offices. We're in Boston, headquarters in New York City, Peoria, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, and London, England. And the primary part of the company is government. We probably cover over, I guess, probably between 3,000 and 4,000 municipalities across the country. So we're very strong in, just New Jersey alone. We probably cover over 400 munis there. So if it's Newark, Atlantic City, Trenton, and all the other different suburbs of that, Short Hills, we cover all those munis. Illinois, we have another probably 500 so munis in there. Massachusetts, New Hampshire, so on and so on and so on. And we have a very strong office in Texas as well. But part of that is in New York State, we got involved with NICOM, which is the New York Conference of Mayors, of which the Village of East Hampton is a member of. And then they have the Association of Towns, which is There's 530 mayors in the state of New York, and 928 supervisors in the state. They came together and they created NIMA, which is the New York Municipal Energy Program, of which I run. And so I report to those associations, of which they report to the 1,000+ elected officials of what we cover. So part of that is, we have a very large footprint in the state of New York. We have, munis up in the Buffalo area, Syracuse, Plattsburgh, White Plains, and then in downstate. And part of that is when we go after deregulation, if it's natural gas, electricity, or demand response, whatever these energy products that we're going after, we've done very successful at the state. Long Island is always, we've run a very large natural gas program, and we had both counties, both Nassau and Suffolk County came together and they created the Long Island Purchasing Council, and we had about 97 political subdivisions join into that natural gas cooperative. That cooperative alone probably lasted, I'd say 5 to 7 years, and it created about $35 to $40 million in savings throughout Long Island. In the last year and a half, we're still pursuing the natural gas. Electricity has now become, for the first time, in Long Island. So, it was always, you just couldn't do it. The reason being is that because PSEG had a black box that they wouldn't reveal. We couldn't get access to it. We successfully sued them, went to the Public Service Commission. They opened up their pricing structure, and now we're doing business on Long Island. We're bringing electricity. What this is basically, right now, probably 95% of private businesses do this. Governments all around Long Island are doing this. Right now, East Hampton does not have an energy budget. You have an electricity sort of guess between 5 and 10% what you paid this year, because reason being is you're on an index rate, goes up and down, up and down. As an auditor, you would know that's dangerous. People don't like that. Like, you like have a budget. Going forward, what are we going to pay? Right now, you don't know. Like, you sort of guess it's coming in, but then certain events have happened in the last couple of years. Ukraine happened, gas went up to $10, and energy prices got to 27 cents out here. Now the market has calmed down, everything else, and I always tell people when, natural gas is the primary feedstock that creates electricity, and the only sort of to get a price on electricity is like what the natural gas markets are. They go hand in hand to each other right now. And I tell people if gas is under $3, that's a gift. And like right now, because of the cold weather, this brutal winter that we were coming out of, gas has spiked. So we're in like the $4.75, $4.50 range. That's going to come back down. We know with spring and stuff like that. But the whole thing is like, how much is it going to come down? Right now, you're reading all throughout the newspapers is energy is becoming so and more important every day just because of the electrification of everything. Cell phones, cars, homes are now going completely electric. Heating is going electric. So the demand for electricity is going that way. And most importantly is AI is coming online. And we have no clue on how to predict this. The AI economy is going this way, and generation is here. There's a gap there that we have no clue how it's going to be filled. None. We are decommissioning some of the coal and fuel oil things, which is a good thing. And we're trying to keep up with the AI demand. To build an AI station takes 2 years. To build a generation station, that takes me 5 to 7 years. So I'm not going to be able to keep up with that demand. So we're predicting that energy is going to be going north, not south. Going forward with this type of program, I went onto the LIPA PSEG website, and I went back 5 years, to 2001.
Excuse me?
And the average price,
I'm sorry, could you explain what an AI station is?
the AI issue,
Whatever, yeah, the AI station, is that what you said?
to build an AI terminal, a data center, it takes 2 years.
What is that?
An AI, it's basically data centers. Data centers are consuming more electricity in the United States than we ever anticipated. Microsoft just bought 3 Mile Island down in Pennsylvania, the one that melted in the 70s. They now built that because they're building 11 AI terminals, and those 3 nuclear power plants are going to just power just those data centers, because they know that the utility is not reliable anymore. They can't keep up with that demand. It's literally sucking out all the energy out of the United States, and it's going to be a supply and demand. You know, the supply is not going to be there, demand's going to go through the roof. That's, you know, so going backwards with LIPA and PSEG, you average in 21, the average price was about 10, 22, we had Ukraine, so it spiked. You were in that 13 cents, 12.8 to be exact. 23 was 10.29. 24 was 11.04. And then because of this, you know, sort of brutal last couple of months, so far the prices in 25 are at 12.4, 12.03. So I put this out to bid already, and we're coming back with prices for you guys at around 9.8, 10 flat. So you're a penny cheaper than the utility. So that's what we're saying, and we're saying this is you know, to go at this very slowly, you know, because this is the first time. So we're recommending that the village start off with a not 100% fix. I have a sort of a strategy for the township of what they should do, and you know, if we go forward, I would recommend 50% hedge, and then keep that 50% till May. Then in June, when air conditioning demand comes on, we put it at the 75 to August, and then September when it cools down again, you put it at 50, and then in December, January, and February of next year, we lock it up at 85%. And the more and more you get comfortable, the more you're going to be locking in these prices. But I wanted to come here and say, just take this slowly. All of my information is on the lipapower.org website, which I've put in my presentation. And you know, what we're basically doing here is we're trying to flatten out any like spikes in the market. Like any like hiccups or any, like, you know, if you can avoid a spike, you want to do that, obviously, because the village wants to save money. How we were able to do this is, you know, LIPA had the electrical lines that basically went one way. It was Long Island was an importer of energy. Could come down, go through New York City, and take a left and come out to Montauk. And in that, there was different substations would pick up the power. And in that thing, there's a company called Calpine Energy. Calpine Energy is the 3rd largest energy company in the United States. They were just purchased by Constellation, so now they're number 1. So their market capital is probably over $100 billion company. They're massive. But they have 5 generation stations on Long Island, so they're local. They're all throughout Bethpage. Stony Brook has a large generation station. They're off the grid. JFK Airport, if you're flying to there, and Calpine has a massive generation station there. JFK Airport is completely off the grid, reason that it's also considered a military base. So Air Force One lands there, and they always have a couple of F-15s sitting around in there. You don't see them, but they're there, and so they are completely off the grid. They're producing too much energy, so we get that excess energy that comes into the grid, and they also can run the lines, the PSEG lines, both ways, where the other companies cannot. They can import and export power. So they're coming in. We've already put this out to bid, and we had NRG bid on this. They said they're not interested. Constellation said they're not interested, the retail branch. And then Calpine said, yes, we can do this, and we can do it cheaper. I'm trying to think. So those were the Long Island generation assets. And then I have in my presentation, you can see pictures of Stony Brook and JFK. And what LIPA cannot do is it's illegal. You're on an index rate, and they keep you on it. The way, when you look at your utility bill, there are 3 components on that utility bill: the transportation, the distribution, and the supply portion. I am only talking here today about supply. The transportation and distribution, that's a monopoly. PSEG owns that. They own all the wires, they own all, everything underneath, the telephone poles, that's their ownership. What you have title over is the power that's inside that line. I try to compare it to, people say, what is a utility? I said, they're mailmen. They pick up A and they pick up B. Like, if you went to Florida and accidentally you forgot your computer, you would call up that restaurant and say, I want my computer back. They would put that in a brown box and they would ship it back to you. That's called UPS. UPS does not own your computer. You own that computer. And it's identical to what PSEG is. They pick up and they deliver. And you have an opportunity here to take a local energy company, Calpine, when I say local, their assets are local, but they're based in San Diego and Houston. And you can go forward and saying, know that you have 50% of your power is locked in. It's people, fuel oil is still common around here. And, the fuel oil guy comes around, he says, lock up in August, you get a price and you don't have to pay, it doesn't fluctuate at all during the winter time. Sometimes you win, sometimes, but this energy, we're so undercutting PSEG's rates right now. Even if it does go, the other 50% is going, there's a tremendous amount of headroom there. A penny is a big number in the energy world. And that's when we came in and we saw these massive discounts. And Ben, being from Shelter, I'm like, this is my backyard. We've already approved, Town of Hempstead is moving in. They're 875,000 people. They're Muni. They've moved to Brookhaven. We're doing all of their gas. We have Limbrook. We have a couple of different Board of Eds are all moving. Southampton they're moving forward on this. West Hampton, I went with them yesterday. The mayor there, they want to move with this. And today, being here, that I would like for you guys to go forward on this. I don't know what else to say.
No, I think that.
Yeah, I know I'm coming at with like a lot of information.
I think you explained it very well.
So,
Second time I've heard
this is
it.
nothing new.
Now
You're not
get it.
reinventing the wheel here. A lot of being up at NICOM and up on Albany with the mayor. There was probably, I guess, maybe 150, 200 people there. More than half that room were my customers. And we have large munis in there. Again, I'm saying, White Plains, parts of Syracuse, parts of Buffalo, Albany, we do their gas. And then I'm not going to go through a whole list of different townships, but
So
we
what's
cover a lot.
the next step, Ed? Is it, you're going to get the real pricing?
Yeah, I have again, it's just, it's crazy. Like with PSEG, we do a lot of business in New Jersey, and I get information there. By law, I have to get it back in 7 days. PSEG New York, it takes 3 weeks to a month. It's crazy how slow they are. So I've already submitted the information, and so I'm just waiting back from that. But I can sort of guess on what. I'm assuming you're sort of the size of Southampton. I'm sort of guessing, and. Southampton, we have about between $18,000 and $22,000 a year savings per year. So, and I'm going at that conservatively. I think the number is going to be better because I know where electricity is going. So I put a conservative number in there. But, typical contracts, these are short exposures or, between 12 and 36 month contracts. These are not 10-year contracts. And again, you're only doing 50%. So the process is basically, once my numbers do come back, first you pass a resolution to say, we want to go forward with this. That does not bound you to a contract. It says you're going to go forward with this. Once we get the contract and everything, and if the numbers do come good, whatever, and I do have a proper savings, which I feel confident on, move forward. It's pretty simple. It's trying to think whether there's to think about this. You're basically, it's a financial decision. It's also an insurance decision. Right now you're 100% exposed. It's like driving a car without insurance. So we're recommending, take a look at the electric, then maybe at one point, take a look at the natural gas.
Well, sounds good. So will anybody have any questions?
I have a bunch of questions that, just because I'm just wrapping my head around this now. So Calpine is for lack of better words, a smaller energy company that's got 5 plants all on, and they produce power just like PSE&G, and like the normal customer like me, I can't choose. I just have PSE&G. But you're telling me that this company produces power and is looking to sell it, and East Hampton Village can work into some type of agreement through you to get that power through them or partially through them, just for the power aspect of your bill, not the other parts that you explained. And it's cheaper and easier to budget for.
When you moved to East Hampton, wherever that was, and you moved into your home, and you first thing you have to do is you got to turn on the power. So you call PSE&G, say, hey, I just moved in. Did you have a choice with that? You didn't. It was PSE. That's it. Now you have a choice. You can go PSE&G or you can go Calpine, and you're not leaving PSE&G at all. PSE&G owns all the infrastructure. That's all their equipment. So if a telephone pole goes down, which we just experienced, you're not calling Calpine, you're calling PSE&G. It's their equipment. So, the guy who changes the wire or the telephone, he has no idea that, or she, they don't know if you're on deregulated power or not. You're not leaving PSE&G. Like it's still this. The power is coming from everyone out there. If it's PSE&G, Con Edison, and Central Hudson, whatever the utility might be, they're all buying wholesale power. It's called the ISO, the New York ISO. That's called the grid, and the grid is the clearinghouse. That's where it's all coming from. And then you have these investor-owned utilities. If it's Con Ed, PSEG, whatever, they're going into that basically swimming pool and getting their cup of water. It's so Calpine is a wholesale generator and also a retail supplier. So they're producing the electrons that's going into the New York ISO, and they're coming back here to East Hampton at a fixed rate. PSEG is not allowed to do that. They can only charge you for the transportation and the distribution. They're not allowed to charge you for the supply. That's a pass-through. Wherever the price of energy goes, they don't care because it's a 100% pass-through. So if it goes down to, pennies, whatever, great. If it goes up into the, $10, whatever it might go up to, they don't care either. It's just a pass-through. So what you're doing here is you're saying you have a choice. You can say, I can stay on a dangerous index, and it's a pass-through, or you can go to the largest energy company, generation company in the United States, Calpine. Calpine is supplying PSEG their power because they have generation assets. PSEG does not. I mean, they might have some type of investment in there, but a majority of the power is Calpine is the largest natural gas generation. Constellations has probably 50 or 75 nuke plants. And then, part of the grid system is also, we have to buy renewable too. So it's coming 15% of the power that comes into New York must come from a hydro, solar, wind, whatever it might be. And those are sort of the rules the FERC makes up for the different grids. But you're going to be getting a fixed cost, where with PSEG, you do not.
But does the decision have to be the whole village does it, or can it be house by, like, could I right now get Calpine and the mayor not have it?
They call it a commercial industrial account. So for individual homes, the answer is no. Calpine is because they're going out here, they're one of these type of companies, they go whale hunting. The average home is between 1,000 and 3,000 square feet. They have no interest in that. They now have interest in Town of Hempstead. I mean, with Brookhaven, they have interest in that. And then we said, if we do these deals, we want to bring in the other different munis. And they said, okay, we're good with that. They're also interested in bringing in all the different Board of Educations too. That's their goal, is to come here and, not compete with PSEG at all. They're just going after the supply portion. So to answer your question, is allowed for a residential? At one point, I mean, I know the The township was looking at a community choice aggregation years ago. That sort of fizzled out, that product. It's still around, but not as strong as it is upstate. But, but to answer your question, as a resident, no. I mean, you could, but I don't know who would do these little deals like that. They wouldn't do it.
All right, so why don't we follow through with
Yeah.
the estimate and the contract, and then once we get that, if it is a savings, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer to me, but.
Yeah, our goal is to basically put you in a large pool with the other, I mean, hopefully we're trying to time it with you guys would go in with Babylon or something like that.
Okay.
That's sort of our goal.
All right, so let's just follow up, and then we can do the resolution and the contract all at the same time. Does that sound good?
Yes. Thank you.
Any questions?
I mean,
No,
you'd
they're
be
not
able-
allowed to ask questions.
You can provide us with a bit of an analysis as to the other customers you have in a sense, because I think to answer Trustee Doyle's questions, that this is really for the Village of East Hampton, right? Getting our account to help us.
Yeah, the contract would be for the township, excuse me, for the village only.
Right.
I mean, it's like you're not responsible for, if I do put you in a large pool, but you're not responsible for, it's only whatever you consume, that's your
So if
responsibility.
you can give us some basic analysis of how you've helped other municipalities our size, I'm sure that's.
I can't hear
that'd be
you
fine.
that well.
If you can provide us with some analysis as to how you helped other municipalities the same
Oh, yeah,
size as
yeah, yeah,
ours,
yeah.
that'd be great. That's
Yep.
all.
Yep, not a problem.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just our municipality, yeah. All our buildings and, great, thanks, Ed.
Thanks a lot for your time.
All right, is there anybody here for public comment? Oh, yes, come on up. Ed, if you want to leave, now's a good time. Dominique?
Good morning. I'm also disappointed about Hugh King. Gosh darn it.
Say that again?
I'm also disappointed that Hugh isn't here. Gloria Frazee, Village of East Hampton. If I yelled really loudly, you could hear me from Sherrill Road. I'm here to talk about Earth Hour, which is a global 1 hour long movement to help with our environment. From 8:30 to 9:30, millions and millions of people turn off their excess outdoor lighting. Why is Earth Hour important? It encourages people to turn off non-essential lights to demonstrate that they support the environment. It raises awareness about environmental issues and how humans participate in the care of our environment. And it's a small change, but it can have a really big impact. What are the impacts of light pollution? It affects human health. Artificial light disrupts sleep cycles, increases risks for obesity, depression, diabetes, and even certain cancers. It impacts our ecosystems. A lot of wildlife behaviors are dependent on the light, so it impacts migration, reproduction, and feeding, and it affects pollinators and a lot of the other wildlife that we depend on in our ecosystem. Energy waste, we just had that presentation about how much energy costs. Let's cut down the amount of energy that we're using. If there's unnecessary lighting around in our town, it not only adds to the light pollution, obscuring stars, it increases our use of energy. How can people do this at home? Turn off unnecessary lighting. Outdoor lighting, there's often uplighting. It's great even if you have porch lighting that's on for safety, put it on a motion detector or shield it so it's not shining into your bedroom windows like my neighbor's porch light does. Not a lot of fun. What can we do in East Hampton Village? We could turn off landmark lights, encourage businesses to participate by dimming their lights, addressing some of their unshielded lights. There are a number of stores on Newtown and Main where you're driving along and you get this blinding light shining at you where it really wants to be going down onto the sidewalk as opposed to glaring in drivers' eyes. And it also helps East Hampton Village demonstrate its commitment to the environment. It's a really simple action. Anyone can do it. It's 1 hour, and once we take this one step, people become more aware of how, as individuals and a village, we can really help to preserve the most beautiful village in the United States.
What's the date?
March 22nd, 2025, 8:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Gabby, maybe we could put something on our website?
That would be great. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for doing that.
No public comment.
Is there another public comment? Step right up.
We're the public hearing for introductory laws, with that, I have.
Oh, you can comment after the law.
That's what I was.
Yeah,
oh,
thanks. All right. Before we get into the public hearings, I wanted to just make an announcement from our highway department. They're having a public meeting, reference the MS4 municipal stormwater, and that'll be held on Wednesday, March 5th at 10 a.m. in this room. So we've got that out there. All right, so here we go. Let's get into the public hearings.
Introductory number 4 of 2025, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code, Chapter 278, zoning, Section 278-7, fees, procedure, and other submission requirements, changes to the notice, provision requiring applicants to provide notice.
Okay, any comments from the public? We did receive Lenny's letter.
Yeah, I was just gonna, if we filed the letter, he had offered if we wanted to read it for public
That's
comment.
fine, that's great.
So yeah, this letter was submitted on behalf of Leonard Ackerman last week. Dear Mayor and Board of Trustees, we understand that the village intends to enact a law that when a property owner seeks a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals, the burden of notifying the neighbors by mail will be shifted to the applicant. We have some suggestions to make that we ask you consider in terms of providing adequate notice of pending ZBA applications, especially given the high percentage of second homeowners in the village. Mail notice of an upcoming public hearing typically arrives just before the hearing date. Given the lead time between setting a hearing date and the actual date of the hearing and the typical delivery times for the certified mail, since mail notice goes to the address that the neighboring property owners have supplied for their tax mail. Since mail notice goes to the address for their tax bills, there's often a further delay before they receive actual notice. As a result, there is often inadequate time for an interested neighbor to review the plans for the proposed project, discuss any issues with the applicant, and hire a representative if needed to attend the hearing. The result is last-minute objections, angst, and possible delay for the applicant, and more work for the ZBA members who may have to extend the hearing beyond its original date. On the other hand, were you to require notice to be sent more in advance of the hearing date, the result would be to delay hearings beyond the date they would otherwise occur. We believe that a workable solution to these issues is to add a feature to the village website that will list the street address of any variance application when it is filed, together with a 1 or 2 line summary of the application, and to scan and post the filings when they are received, rather than waiting until a public hearing date is set. The ability to review the website to see if any nearby property is listed, together with the ability to go to the village's parcel information portion of its website and inspect whatever has been filed to date by the applicant, would give neighbors early and useful access to variance applications that might affect them, and encourage dialogue with the applicant at a time when it is most useful. Since the application documents are eventually scanned and posted for every application under existing village procedures, we believe the additional burden on the village staff would be minimal and more than offset by the time and expense savings the village will enjoy from shifting the burden of mail notification to the applicants. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill, do you want to address the board about that letter? Like, is this problematic to do for our staff? And is there a way that, since they're doing the mailings, is there a way we could give them, I don't know, like they want to, it sounds to me that they want to post as the stuff comes in. They want it posted on the web, on our website, let's say. Yeah. So
Good morning, Mayor. Billy Hayjack, excuse me, for the village. I did receive a copy of Len's letter. The short answer is yes. I mean, it's possible to do that. The idea here was to shift the burden, though, to the applicant of noticing. It wasn't to create additional procedures for village staff. So while technically it's possible, it's something I don't know of any other municipality does this, has sort of a running tally for pending applications, available to the public. I mean, if the objective is to reduce potential opposition from a neighbor, an applicant is free to contact their neighbors before they submit an application or when they're designing it to get their feedback. I mean, this would require somebody to be just randomly reviewing the village's website to see if there's a list of an application that's in their neighborhood that might affect them. I think the chances are pretty low that somebody would do that. I'm not saying it wouldn't happen. I'm sure maybe other, nearby attorneys would be looking at it, but I don't, it's a decision for the board to make, but I just don't think it's.
While I have you up there, so basically the procedure is somebody files for a building permit, the building department rejects the building permit because they need to get a variance.
Correct.
So then they file an application with everything, right? Their surveys, their
Surveys,
blueprints,
plans, application.
everything.
Yep.
They submit it to the village, and then it goes to you, right? To
Yeah,
building
Gabby.
for review.
It's processed, logged in.
So what-
And then it's referred to Tom.
I'm sure it's,
Myself.
the review process probably is different based on the scope of the job, right?
Yeah, well, every application is different. I review it for completeness and to ensure that the zoning board, to ensure that the application has all the information the zoning board would need to make an informed determination.
So on average, what is the time, if somebody submitted it today,
Yeah.
that you would have the opportunity to review it and then give it to Gabby to post?
It's about, I would say I review applications within about a month or, 3 weeks to a month. It's usually scheduled for hearing and the hearing is held about 2 months from submission. And then you'd have if the board doesn't have any questions and they close the record, the decision's rendered at the next meeting. So roughly it's about a 3-month process.
So it's a 3-month process.
Roughly. It could go quicker. Most take
That's
longer.
average.
Yeah, it's average, but most take longer.
So right now, it's taking 3 months from start to a granting of a variance.
Yeah.
So we post it, once you review it and it goes to Village Hall to get posted in the paper, we do a 14-day post prior to the hearing.
It varies, but it's about 14 days, yeah.
Okay. So does Lenny's office want us to extend that period, or is this an alternative?
I think
Keep the time.
I think the letter was to not extend it because that could drag out the time.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's already 3 months, and that's if there's no issues. If there's an issue that the ZBA reviews it and says, oh, no, you need to come back next month, and then that month, if it's approved, then it's the following month that you get approval. So it's really, the complaint I hear from residents is, why does it take so long to get a variance? That's
The complaint I hear, though, is that I had no idea this was happening, and now I have this horrible thing next to me that I'm living with for the rest of my life. I mean, 87% of our village is second homeowners. When I've told you, when I look at the Star online, you're not reading these notices in the Star website. So if it does go, if Lenny Ackerman's my lawyer and it's going to him and then he has to turn it around, it's a very small window where all of a sudden my neighbor's getting something that I can't, I'm living in Florida or wherever else,
But
I can't get there.
I don't agree the solution would be to put it on our website, because what are the odds that somebody's going to be checking the website if they're not checking the Star legal ads, So, but if we extend the time period that we post, now we're going to be 3 months probably well, it's already 3 months. We're going to be probably add another.
It depends. It depends on the schedule and what's complete and what's not. Some, we have an application coming up that was just submitted, and it just turns out that it was, other items were incomplete, so it got scheduled. So, but on average, it's 3 months.
I just don't know how we can make it.
And Billy, sorry, for 3 months, those agendas are posted on the village website, correct?
when the agenda is scheduled, it's posted to the website,
Right.
yeah.
So those,
Yeah.
in a sense, the neighbors are aware then for 3 months with the agenda posted.
Well, not 3 months in advance.
No, not in
Yeah,
advance, during
yeah.
the time frame that it's being scheduled, discussed, and voted on.
Mm-hmm.
Also, have you heard of another municipality, because I've never heard, summarizing an application for,
I think only in like the
Applicant?
hearing notice, that's
I just don't know
usually the
what
official.
would be the draw for somebody to go to our website. That's, if you don't know, right, you haven't received it in the mail yet
Yeah.
because of whatever the delay. What would make you go to our website and check?
You'd have to know that the house next door to you generally was sold.
Right, but you could do it in the Star too. You could go to legal ads. What if we just,
Even a transfer doesn't always correlate to a zoning board application. I mean, I think it's really shot in the dark to be looking at the village's website and wait and see if there's an application submitted for a neighbor.
I agree with Billy.
I mean, it's,
If I could come in, I think it's not so much the time of a zoning board application takes in general, because with my experience, Carrie, too, is that we're talking about the time it takes for it to get noticed and the neighbors to know about it, not so much the time it takes for it to happen, because some applications take over a year. That's not so much the neighbor didn't have the time to review the application. Right now, I think we're talking about if an application comes to the village and it's the burden is set on the applicant, that applicant now has to get plans, specs, God knows whatever, some of the files are gigantic, to each neighbor. You could have 5, 6 neighbors, and that's a lot of work. And it is on the applicant to do that, however the village was doing it.
Right.
But if it was, let's just say, on the website, then the applicant would be like, oh my God, I just got a letter from my attorney or from God knows whatever, there's a village variance application. I can click on the village website, all the paperwork is there. It doesn't have to get sent back and forth, because if I submit a zoning board application and then I have to send the information to some address in Colorado, because let's face it, the addresses on our tax roll are all over the place, then that paperwork sits there and that attorney has to send it to God knows wherever. The application's happened already, versus that a quick phone call or an email could say, hey, Billy, guess what? There's a zoning board application and all the paperwork's on the website. So that attorney or that applicant doesn't have to wait for the mail or doesn't have to wait for checking the Star. I don't know, but I think that,
you can't get around the legal mailing.
what gets mailed to the neighbor is just the public hearing notice.
Yeah,
what if that neighbor wants the file?
that's online.
That is online.
It's always online.
Yeah.
So it's there already.
Once it's scheduled for hearing, the complete package is scanned and put online.
Right, so
then
it's
available.
online already.
Yes.
But
So
that's
then-
once it's scheduled, yeah.
Once it's scheduled.
Yeah.
So-
Otherwise, it would be, sometimes we receive multiple surveys, multiple plans.
Right.
Putting all of that, continuously putting that on the website is, it's better to,
Wait till it's complete.
yeah, when it's
Once
complete
scheduled,
and it's
what's
all the
time?
information.
Like, say, does it happen that you put it up there and then the ZBA hearing is in 10 days?
I mean, yeah.
So you might have just 10 days to review it.
Could
and
be, yeah.
Get to town and, make a statement. And it can be very brief. Once it's scheduled and it goes up there, it can be a very brief period that you have to respond to it. And then you have some colossal thing.
But how do we
extra.
fix that? The only way would be to extend the notice
The only
period.
way to be, to extend the notice period instead of doing 10
is then
days.
gonna
you can do
delay
14 days or
Getting
20
before the
days.
variance, before the ZBA.
Just so you be clear, the village law is
don't know.
5 days.
But
So,
generally, I will say this, that the people who are building and needing variances are people who are new people to our village, who are not living here. They're buying a house, they're moving in. And we currently represent the people who are living here already.
Yeah, but I mean, most people want to get in by summer, so, depending on when they buy the house, and the scope of the work, I don't know. I mean, what would be the answer? To extend the posting? But for how long? We already do 14 days. I mean, what do you do,
well, we're
30
proposing
days?
10.
Huh?
So we're proposing 10. So the proposed local law, the obligation to the applicant would be 10 days. So it's just 10 days, so they could, that's their only obligation, is to make sure that it gets to the post office and they have the certified receipt stamped 10 days prior to the hearing. So you could make it 14 days or 20 days, or,
Right.
you can make it 5 days and still be in compliance with village law.
Right, but to Kerry's point, we're trying to get it,
Sure.
make sure everybody has a fair shot at the hearing.
I understand. I don't know if, putting it on a website is gonna, just, when it's
No, I
received.
don't think that's going to help
I
anything.
don't know if that's gonna really yield
I don't see
any
how that would
benefits.
help. But the
It's already on the
notice,
website. It's already on the website.
the notice is where we need to figure out. So why don't we keep it open, obviously?
Yeah.
Let's think about it.
Also maybe hear from the public.
Yeah.
Gloria wanted to say something.
I mean, I don't think any law office is going to want to extend the notice period, but, yeah, Gloria.
One thing to do when you post it on the website might be to put something like CBA, and then the name of the road. And what I would do, I live on Shell Road, I would do a Google automatic notification that if something shows up with that chain on there, I would get an email from Google.
Smart. A Google alert.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a good point.
we already put it on the website, though. How do we list it? Is there a way to do the road, or?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's by property address and by name of the applicant on the website. So if you get your notice that there's an application, you can go to the website and you can look it up by the identifier that's on the notice. So the notice is a formula that identifies the location, the applicant, and it also has the tax map number.
Okay.
So my question is, right now, we send it out, the village sends out the notice.
Right.
And if we make the applicant send it out, let's just assume it gets sent out on the same exact day as the village sends it out. So what's the difference?
No
No,
difference.
the difference is what Kerry is, it's nothing to do with this law. It's, she's hearing that, people don't know that there's a hearing. We're trying to figure out if there's a way to make people more aware.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying is that like with our new code change of changing it, what if we didn't change it? It's still the same problem.
It is still the same.
It still goes out
Well,
the
no,
same time.
That's what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with the law. It has to
It's
do
just
with
mentioned
just
from
the
Lenny's
process.
letter.
you
Right.
know? It's the process.
So it seems like the only way to fix that is to extend the time.
Right. So let's think about it.
Yeah.
I like the Google alert. I think that's kind of smart. If there was like a set thing so you could subscribe to when your street, something's coming, then you just get that email.
No, it's not your street. It's a certain distance away from your house, correct?
Right.
Yeah, it's a radius, 200-foot radius.
So
300.
usually is a couple
You
houses.
could do a few
300.
streets.
300? I thought the law was,
So let's keep it open.
We're amending that.
Let's
oh, you changed it to
let's
5.
think about it. Let's see if we get some feedback, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Because it's one of these things you can't, whatever we do, it's going to cause another problem. In what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So let's keep it open.
Okay.
Let's keep thinking, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to be heard on this hearing? All right, we're going to keep it open. Next hearing.
Introductory number 5 of 2025, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code, Chapter 77, Beaches, Article 2, Main Beach Pavilion, Parking Lots, Lockers, and Facilities.
Anyone like to be heard? All right, can I get
Make a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing's closed.
Introductory number 6 of 2025, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code, Chapter 267, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 1, General Regulations, Section 267-6, Parking Prohibited in Designated Locations During Certain Hours.
Anyone like to be heard?
I'm just getting some questions on this. So this is for parking.
Yeah, so as you know, we do the music on Tuesday nights in the summer. And we've received complaints from the neighbors that the sides of the roads are being ripped up, torn up after these events. We also we have a big volleyball tournament that the beach does. We have a similar issue there. We do the annual fireworks. We have a similar issue there. And then the beach tournament that the lifeguards do, we have a similar issue there. So it's 3 or 4 or 5 events a year that are causing the side roads, Lily Pond Lane and Ocean and Turbo to all have damage caused. So what we've done, the parking is already prohibited on those streets between whatever it is, 8 and 5 or something like that, but it ends at 5. So what we did is we extended it till 10 p.m. And what that'll allow the police to do during these events, direct parking where it won't damage the lawn. So they'll have the cars park in one direction on one side of the street with all the tires on the pavement so that we're not causing damage to, it's technically our property, village property, but the homeowners take care of those properties and they do look beautiful and manicured. And so we don't want to be destroying our own property and really causing problems for our residents. So that was the plan. So no resident will really have an issue with this. Most of the properties, or all of the properties on Lily Pond and the surrounding roads they're huge properties and they have plenty of room for cars. So very few residents will park on the street. If they are by chance having an event and they apply for an event permit, same as we always do, we waive the parking for the residents, even during the day if they're having an event during the day. So it shouldn't affect any residents negatively. It should only be positive. And when we have a small police department. So when we're having an event, you have 2 or 3 police in charge of directing the parking, and they can't be everywhere. So this will stop people from parking on Lee until we direct it to be parked on Lee, let's say, until we fill up the Lily Pond area.
So will utility vehicles be exempt?
Well, what?
Like, your plumber, your landscaper?
No, they're not exempt now.
Right, so they can be ticketed according to this law?
Yeah, they could be ticketed now. I mean, the plumbers aren't coming after 5.
What about PSE&G and cable? They have an easement to use that property, so technically I don't think we can't.
Yeah, but we're not changing anything we do now. If a landscaper can't get in the driveway and he parks on the street, we don't ticket them now, especially unless they're blocking the entire road. I mean, we understand, service has to be done.
That's on the homeowner too. Like if the homeowner has their people wreck their grass, then
Right.
that's them. But if we don't want it to wreck our grass for our events.
Right.
Some things might be redacted, but the original paperwork I saw had like Fithian and some other streets in there, not just by the main beach.
No, Fithian was never part of it. It was all the roads that are in walking distance from Main
Okay.
Beach. So, I think they're definitely not Fithian. I didn't see that one, but.
Okay, I saw like a list and some things were crossed. It was in the original packet we got.
Well, if it was, it shouldn't have been, so.
Okay.
I like this. I think people get upset when their lawns get wrecked.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it's expensive.
Exactly. You want to say something, Chief?
The idea of this, working with the mayor and Marcos, is to alleviate some of the issues as the mayor put. And by eliminating parking, right now it's 10 to 5. By extending it to 10 a.m., as the mayor said, it'll give us control of the streets and reduce the complaints of people and the damaging. So if people park in those areas without being directed, just like if you're having a party without a permit, you'll get ticketed if we're not aware of it. So it will give us better control, and it's a tool we're trying to alleviate for these events for the homeowners with the complaints of the grass getting damaged. So by doing that, the plan is to take one side of a street, whichever street it is, and it's only like Pudding Hill, Ocean Avenue, Turbell, Lee, Crossways, Lily Pond.
Hedges, maybe.
Hedges, just those those streets that are affected. So we'll park at our direction, the vehicles on one side of the roadway with all 4 tires on the road on the asphalt portion, alleviating any complaints from homeowners damaging our property that they maintain. And then we'll leave the other side open. So it has a free flow for vehicular traffic, emergency vehicles. And it was kind of a solution to alleviate complaints from residents up in that Main Beach area.
Are you going to alternate week by week which side they park on, or is it always going to be on the one?
No, we're going to keep it, for us, for logistically and operational, when they're coming down Ocean Avenue and it gets full at Main Beach, we shut it down at Ocean Avenue and Lily Pond, and we start pushing traffic down Lily Pond first. Now, that direction will be always that side of the street, which would be the north side of the street, because it also, when the concerts end, it facilitates, like the fireworks, they head to the west. Instead of turning around and having a bottleneck on Ocean Avenue, it helps they go that way, and they can go up towards the light at the Exxon station. So they're already faced in the right direction. And then when they're coming in, it's easier for us to park. They don't have to turn around and start facing east. So it would be, in my opinion, would be the best to keep it on the same side of the street. And then when we go to a certain distance on Lily Pond, they make a call, and then they'll shut down Lily Pond, and then we'll move it to, say, Lee. And when that gets full, then they move. You know, some of the events, it gets pretty busy, but we move from closest to farthest away, depending on traffic and volume.
Okay, sounds
Thanks.
reasonable. Thank you.
Yeah. So anybody from the public? No?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing's closed. All right. Next up, we're going to go into resolutions and motions.
Resolution number 41 of 2025, approve claim vouchers for the month of February.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution number 42, approve warrants as listed. Number 27, guarantees. Number 28, general fund. Number 29, general fund. Number 30, general fund warrant.
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution number 43, approve departmental reports.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 44, approve $250 registration fee for the contractor registry as per section 10713B1, effective retroactively to February 1st, 2025.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 45, approve the engagement of Perillo Hill to provide legal services relating to the creation and establishment of a village justice court for the Village of East Hampton, designated a special project and thus outside scope of general village attorney's services for a flat fee of $50,000 payable from the assigned unappropriated fund balance.
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 46, deem surplus and approve disposal by appropriate sale of the fire department equipment listed in Jerry Terz's February 11th, 2025 memo.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 47, approve agreement with Pet Rona Clinton for consultant services at an hourly rate of $30.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 48, approve Saska Surveying Company to provide consultant surveying services.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor? Passed and carried.
Resolution number 49, approve the $14,208.28 quote to purchase 6 on-gun lasers for the village ESU members from Industrial Strength Industries.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 50, approve $10,457.64 quote for the annual traffic cloud subscription with All Traffic Solutions. One-year contract period, March 23rd, 2025 to March 23rd, 2026.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution number 51, approve $4,189.79 quote for the annual NetCloud mobile performance plans with PMC Wireless.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Number 52, approve promotion of Sergeant Stephen Shades to the rank of lieutenant at an annual salary of $191,727.73, effective March 1st, 2025.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Congratulations to Steve. We're going to do a formal, he was away on vacation. So in our March meeting, we'll do a formal promotion or standard formal promotion. Thanks, Chief.
Resolution number 53, approve new fire department member Kate Castrati.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Welcome aboard, Kate.
Number 54, approve $2 an hour wage increase for part-time paramedics as listed effective March 1st, 2025.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. This is, you're trying to keep up with the surrounding agencies. Most of these, the part-time people, it's basically a big pool of people that work in different agencies throughout the entire county. So it's really difficult to get people to come out east when they can get the same money without traveling, working in Smithtown or Patchogue. So it's becoming a problem with traffic, and obviously we all know the issues. But so we're trying to keep up, and so we can keep this staffed. So Jerry's doing a great job, but we need to help him a little bit. Next.
Resolution number 55, notice of public hearing to be held on March 21st, 2025 at 11 a.m. at the Emergency Services Building, 1 Cedar Street, for introductory number 7 of 2025, a proposed local law amending Village of East Hampton Code, Chapter 62, Article 2, Alarm Systems, Section 62.3, Registration Required, B1, 2, and 3.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried.
Resolution number 56, approve request from Paul Anderson for extended paid sick leave.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed and carried. Is that it? All right, so we're going to ask for a motion to close, and we're going to go into executive session.
I make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
The meeting's closed, and we're going to go into executive session. All righty.
Right.
That was a nice short one.